So season 5 of Rebels opens up with sorry, the new Ahsoka show, episode 1, Master and Apprentice, opens up with with a sequence like from a proper film. We get a crawl with an exposition dump and a really good long opening shot just like in the films. Now they waste no time getting into the action. So before I go further, the show assumes you've seen The Clone Wars, Rebels, The Mandalorian, and The Book of Boba Fett, so I will too. And just like my Warrior reviews, I'll follow the same pattern as them. Check them out if you haven't already. So, a New Republic ship is held by another ship and it's communicating an older Jedi signal. The captain allows them to board, but he isn't fully convinced, and he goes to the docking bay with a security team and confronts them. He tells them they aren't Jedi, just Imperial trash, to which they reply, "You're right, we aren't Jedi," and spat their lightsabers, and needless to say, nearly everyone gets killed. And they spring Morgan Elsbeth from prison. Who's that, you may ask, and why is she important? Well, dear viewer, the answer is in episode 5, season 2 of The Mandalorian. In case, you're not been doing your homework. Now we get Ahsoka at a very old, very ruined temple, and she's looking for a map to find Thrawn. And consequently, Ezra. To get it, she has to complete a Tomb Raider style puzzle. After she retrieves it, she is faced by 4 droids who have never been programmed with the point always beats the edge rule of sword fighting. Anyways, she takes care of 2 of them, and what's left self-destruct and cover the area with a massive blast wave. She gets a message saying Morgan has been freed, and she rallies up with a ship, and she meets Hera and hands over the map to her, but it's locked and they can't access it. Hera suggests Sabine can help, but Ahsoka is unsure. So we skip to Lothal, and Sabine is supposed to be at a ceremony dedicated to her friend Ezra, the one they're going to go looking for. But she's not interested, and we get an entire scene that could have been skipped. It's very boring and serves no purpose to the episode other than to say she doesn't take instructions well and possibly to give us a shot of her ass. She eventually arrives at a tower that Ezra lived at, and we see his last recording to her. Meanwhile, the baddies are at the temple that was nuked, and it turns out Morgan is a witch of Dathomir, and she orders generic blonde baddie to Lothal to get Sabine. Speaking of, Ahsoka is now on Lothal to recruit her, to help her open the map to find Thrawn. The new piece of merchandising, being Ahsoka's droid, informs her that during his scan on the lightsabers, only one person has ever made such a design. As they're talking, Sabine does one with the key, and wouldn't you know it, generic blonde baddie attacks Sabine once she's figured it out and runs her through with a lightsaber. Oh no! Sabine's dead! Episode 2, Toil and Trouble. Where was I? Oh no, Sabine's dead! She's been run through with a lightsaber. Who can survive that? Well, everyone except Qui-Gon, it seems. So anyway, she's healing in a hospital, and thank the Lord we didn't get a back to tank scene. Anyway, Sabine tells Ahsoka she figured out how to unlock the key, but the droids took the map and destroyed any evidence. Morgan arrives at the planet with the baddies, and she uses magic to get the MacGuffin open to narrow down the search for Thrawn. Meanwhile, Ahsoka investigates Ezra's tower and kills a droid that tried to sneak up on her. She takes the head to Sabine and she gets into its memory core and finds it came from Corellia. Now Ahsoka and Hera go to the place to investigate it, as it's supposed to be decommissioning Imperial vessels and recycling the parts for the New Republic. but it turns out they're secretly still pro-Empire / plain greedy. Sabine is fully healed, and I can hear the squeals from the people who saw the medical droid from Empire Strikes Back. She questions the merchandise about whether Ahsoka wanted her back at all. And the music here is absolutely spot on. Back on Corellia, a hyperdrive from the Superstar Destroyer arouses Hera's suspicion. As they request details about it, they are attacked but easily win the fight. At the point that the transport ship is taking off with the hyperdrive, Hera goes after it in her ship, and Ahsoka tries to catch it by running after it. She's confronted by another droid. How many do they have? And a mysterious generic baddie. She kills the droid, and while this fight is going on, Hera goes after the ship and Chopper throws a tracking device on it. Sabine goes to the tower and pulls out her own Mandalorian gear, cuts her hair off, and he's back, baby. She decides she's ready to become a Padawan again and rejoins Ahsoka. The hyperdrive is successfully delivered, and the Eye of Sion is about to go after Thrawn. Let's break this down. So, first question. When did Ahsoka become a Jedi Knight? I've watched all the shows. I've read the Ahsoka novel. In none is she an ex-Jedi Knight. It's a small pick, I grant you. But why retcon it? And don't say it's for the normies. If that's so, why base the majority of the characters on the Rebels show? Now, the opening scene I liked well enough. I thought the music to the scene really added to it, especially the hallway bit with Balin in it, and it's done very well. Yes, we get another hallway scene in a Star Wars show. Think of something new, Dave. Now, we get a lot of saber action in this episode. Some good, some not so good. All is better choreographed than what we got in the sequel trilogy. And it is. It's clear a lot of money has been spent on this show, at least for the first 2 episodes. And it's been spent well. It also feels like they cared about the project. They took the time and effort and didn't rush. Yes, we know it's Filoni's baby, but this feels different to the other shows he's worked on. And I know a lot of this will have been shot in the volume, but it looks a lot better than the previous shows. In places, these first 2 episodes are very cinematic. Now, the ship transporting Morgan, why doesn't it have an escort? She's a high-value target. Are you telling me the New Republic doesn't have a few X-Wings lying around? The puzzle Ahsoka has to complete. How is the map there? It's clearly much older, and it's a destroyed temple than what it should be for when the map would have been made. It's as bad as the dagger in The Rise of Skywalker. The Force powers fluctuate a lot for me in both episodes. We know from The Phantom Menace, The Clone Wars, and the Ahsoka novel that the Force does allow you to move faster and jump higher when using it. So why does she seem to run normally when escaping the bomb blast? It's almost like her blue energy bar was low. I know we will probably get the answers in flashbacks, but what happened to Ahsoka and Sabine? These aren't the characters we saw in the previous shows. They're both very jaded, very stoic. They haven't fully done a Luke from the sequel trilogy, but they're fundamentally different at this point in time in these 2 episodes. Even in the Mandalorian and Boba Fett episodes, Ahsoka still had a bit of spark. Now, I'm sure as it progresses, they will return to their old selves. Or at least I hope they will. I said in my synopsis the chase scene with Sabine was useless. It's just the scene itself did nothing as a waste of time. And you can point to normies all you want. But again, the show assumes you know these characters, so they shouldn't need to give its audience hints as to what this character is. I also want to mention that she skips the memorial to Ezra, just to give her this rebel against authority vibe. If she skips this, how can we buy into her wanting to find him? Now, generic blonde female baddie and Balin, are they just dark side users? Are they leftover Inquisitors? Sith? It's not being made fully clear yet, and I'm not totally convinced she's bad. The final set piece of episode 1. Why doesn't generic blonde baddie just use the Force on Sabine? Yes, a lightsaber battle is cooler and better to watch, but still, what better way to show her as evil? Also, I want to point out how she won. Point beats the edge. Richard Sharp would be very proud. Now, episode 2. The fake death scene is just done to death, no pun intended. We, as the audience, knew there were no stakes to the fight, so there was no reason to it other than, ooh, a lightsaber fight. The overall episode is alright, I don't dislike it or love it. Ashoka in the ship. Now, Force powers again. What was her intentions had the robot and mystery baddie not been there? Because it appears she was running after it. Why not use Force speed or jump? Why not use Force pull and stop it in its tracks? We've seen her use all these in the past. She is a very strong Force user. I'm not saying Jedi Knight because she was never knighted. So why not use it? Now, overall, I mostly enjoyed the 2 episodes. Okay, the music outshines everything to me, and it definitely picks scenes up to be better than they have any right to be. Although you could argue that's Star Wars all over. Now, I'm not going to poop all over the show just because it's Disney Star Wars. Neither will I gush at it just because it's a Star Wars. Everything deserves a balanced view, and I'll always try to give that. And if I can't, I won't review said film or show. To wrap up, so far it has been better than could be predicted or hoped for, and I emphasise so far. The trouble is, for many fans, it's both too little or too late. That's all for me. Bye for now.